Hello, everyone. It's your girl Gabrielle from A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. We've been in the game for a while now, but in case you are new to this web series or you have no idea who we are, what we're about, or if you just need a refresher, that's okay. So this is the web series where we talk real talk about things in business, employment, mental health, physical health, education, all the things that are in our line of view. We can't talk about everything. We are a tutoring company, but we like to cover a lot of ground and we like to do a deep dive into those things. And we like to talk real talk about these issues, things that are pretty steamy. So today, this is for the entrepreneurs out there or people who are thinking about entrepreneurs. This one is for you. So our topic today is, let me get my banner. What am I doing wrong as an entrepreneur? What am I doing wrong as an entrepreneur? Just want to make sure I got that. And I have a guest with me who's going to help me with this conversation. His name is Harrison Barron, and I am going to tell you about him. So, Harrison Barron was born and raised on Long Island, growing up in the small town of Bayport. He attended SUNY Farmingdale for computer information systems with an emphasis in computer programming, where he received his bachelor's degree. From there, he proceeded to get an internship where he was brought into the company as an entry level employee. After 2 short years, he worked his way up to an executive position in the company. During this time, he also started a podcast called the Brutally Honest Podcast that would help educate people on business and personal stories. Recently, he has decided to become a full-time entrepreneur where he founded and is now president of Growth Generators, a company focusing on growing online communities around brands and companies to help get into a still untapped market for their products or services. He also has his personal brand at harrisonbarron.com, where he helps small business owners and salespeople leverage LinkedIn and other platforms to make sales. In his free time, Harrison is a volunteer firefighter, spending time outdoors and finding new adventures. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring him to the stage right now. Hi, Harrison. How are you doing today?
Hey, how are you?
Good. So, I brought you on our series to talk about things that we are doing wrong as an entrepreneur. And from your bio, it sounds like you have a wealth of experience. So, I am going to pass the baton to you. So, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Sure. Yeah. So, I guess we'll start off with what are people, especially entrepreneurs, what are they doing wrong? And I think a lot of it goes back to not knowing. I think a lot of the times people, they just have this idea of, or better yet, they just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. And the hardest part about that is really not knowing what you could be doing. I'm a firm believer in content creation and using content creation to build wealth. So, taking that content and making it work for you. So that could be creating videos, that could be creating blogs, it could be literally something as simple as TikTok, as Instagram. But by creating content, you're able to reach hundreds and hundreds of people immediately, or over the course of a long period of time. I have a YouTube video currently that got no traction for 2 years, and then after that second year, it just clicked, and it's been crazy traffic since. It's getting, I think, about 1,000 visitors or views per month, which is huge. And I think a lot of people just are not leveraging um, content creation and they're not looking at it. They're looking at it from like, hey, who can I bump shoulders with? Who can I get in, the same room with? And a lot of times they're not leveraging those outlets.
Can you talk more about that? So, when you say not leveraging those outlets, how do you mean?
Yeah. So when I say that, there's only so much time in a day, and leveraging time such as, I don't know, let's just say networking, right? I was a big proponent of networking for a long period of time because I knew that anybody I can get in a room with, chances are pretty good I could probably sell them, which was great. But the problem is you can only network so much. You can only spend so much time in a place, and even if you go to, let's just say, a big networking event, you're probably only going to talk to maybe 8, maybe 10 people over the course of a 4 to 6 hour day. Like, really talk. I mean, like, have an in-depth conversation, how their business is, how your business is, where you guys might be able to work together, right? And there's a lot of missed opportunities there. Plus, you got to get ready, you got to drive there, right? So for me on Long Island, most of the events were probably between 15 and 30 minutes away. Plus, it would probably take about 15 to 30 minutes to get ready. So right off the bat, I'm in for 1 hour to go to an event. From, hey, I woke up, or I'm gonna get ready, to actually being in the event, it's about 1 hour. Then on top of it, you also have to drive home. So if the event is 4 hours, right, it's really about 6 hours because you have to account for the time before and after that you can't actually leverage it. In a 4 hour event, let's just say you're talking to 2 people per hour, where you're having really good conversations. You're going to talk to more people than that, but really good conversations. That means you spent 6 hours talking to 8 people. Content, on the other hand, can work for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So, just like I said with that YouTube video, now that I've created that video will then work for me forever. And I just checked my analytics before. I haven't done anything on my YouTube page in probably about 11 or 12 days now because I just bought a house and I'm in the process of moving. And the coolest part is I reached almost 1,000 people in that 10-day span, right? So it's 100 people, and I didn't do anything else. That's not including the phone calls that I made. That's not including my website visitors who are reading my blog. That's not including TikTok. That's not including Instagram or Facebook Messenger. It's not including any of those. So figuring out how you're going to spend your time and use it is so critically important. And starting to incorporate a content creation strategy where you're not relying on, hey, I hope I get in the room with the right person. If you really think about it, you got to get in the right room with the right person at the right time, right? Because it's got to be the right person, somebody that could buy your services and may need to buy your services. They, they happen to be there at the exact same time, and they're actively looking for somebody to do the services that you offer, right? Though that is crazy to think that those 3 things have to line up every single time that you plan on making a sale or hoping for a sale. Where content, on the other hand, will work for you 24 hours a day. So instead of getting the stars to align, I can create content in my free time. Hey, if I didn't go to that event, I could probably write 2 or 3 articles, and those articles can reach thousands of people throughout the entire year, right? Is it going to be as personable? No, but the person that's Googling, going on Google and searching for the answers that I'm providing, probably needs my service or needs some kind of help in that area. So now it kind of tees it up for that person to come over to me and say, hey, you know what? I am struggling with this. I would love your help. How can you help me? That's the beauty of content creation. That's where a ton of entrepreneurs and people that are looking to become entrepreneurs are missing out. They're waiting for that time to get in that same room with that same person, have all the stars aligned, or they just go out and add crazy value and let those people, as they have problems, come to you and find you. And when they need help, you prove that you're the expert, and they will reach out to you. It's a total 180 of the old school philosophy.
So basically, you're saying it'll, instead of looking for the right person to provide you with the right opportunity, you can create your own opportunity by utilizing various sources on the internet, utilizing social media, things like that.
That is correct. That is correct. People are so worried about, you know, people making fun of them online or whatever it is. And I'm sure many people have heard of Grant Cardone. I like a lot of what he does. Don't love the guy, but I like a lot of what he does. He was that guy that people used to make fun of. Oh, that's so stupid. Why would you do this? Why would you do this? Whether or not he actually owns a plane, he's flying private all the time. That is not cheap, regardless of whether or not he owns a plane. He drives ridiculously nice cars. He has a beautiful building. He has, I think they've acquired a couple of $1 billion worth of assets at this point. So by him creating content, it makes him have an omnipresence, right? He's going to hit you on Facebook. He's going to hit you on YouTube. He's going to hit you on TikTok. He's going to hit you on Instagram. He's going to hit you on Snapchat. Granted, now he has a team of people, but what he did was he used to do sales. He talks all about it. He used to go sell seafood and lobster, whatever it was, and knock door to door and try to find the person that was willing to say yes. But the crazy part is once he started putting himself out there, he allowed people that had problems to find him. So people that were struggling with sales, they would go find him. People that were struggling with closing deals, they would go find him. And he would do these crazy things. His wife would, kick him in the stomach, and he would answer like sales questions. And, is that practical? No, it's stupid. But it made you remember it, right? I'm remembering it now on this podcast. So doing these things over and over and over again and creating this content where somebody sees it and goes, oh my God, never thought about that before. Let me send it off. Right. So another great example of how content works. Today, literally today, I just installed a new kitchen sink. I'm not handy. I sit behind a computer all day. I shouldn't say I'm not handy. I'm smart enough to know that I'm somewhat handy when I apply myself. And had to rip out the old kitchen sink. It was leaking. I didn't want to change the faucet out. It was like, you know what? Let's just go all new. Let's get something nice in here. So that's what I did. I went in there. I got something nice. I did everything up the way it should be done. Ran all the plumbing myself. I had no idea how to do plumbing. Put the sink in. Had no idea how to do a sink. Right. Bought a bunch of tools. And how did I actually do all this? I went to YouTube and watched other people, right, who are providing value. So I knew that I was handy enough to do it, but there's things that I'm realizing that I'm not handy enough to do. And what I would do is if I see somebody that can do the thing that I need done and they live locally or they work locally, I'm going to call and hire the person that just showed me that they know exactly what they're doing. There's no guessing like, oh, is this going to be a good job? Is this going to be a bad job? No. It is literally there for me to go find. And granted, you're not going to find everybody, but if you're looking for how to cut, what height to cut your grass at on Long Island, right? Or how often should you be pressure washing before, or during the winter or whatever it may be. These are really good examples of content that is written. What's a good neighborhood to move into on Long Island from New York City? These are really, really good topics to think about that are going to drive traffic to a specific business. So it doesn't necessarily need to be a blog. It could be a video. It could be on TikTok, Instagram, whatever it is. People have friends and family everywhere. So they can send it out to people and that can get shared around. And when you're like, hey, I need a new place to live on Long Island, and a realtor wrote that article, right? You're not going to go to Zillow next to find that house. You're going to say, hey, I saw your article. I want to live in this town. This is what I'm looking for. Can you help me? Right. And they're going to say, yeah, I can help you. And that is how you can grow your business, by creating content versus praying to God you happen to be in the right place at the right time when that person actually needs your services.
So let's define content. So when you say content, what is that?
Sure. So content comes in three different forms. You have your audio, such as podcasting. You have your video, such as podcasting, more of like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and then written content. So it's going to be your blogs and areas like that, maybe guest posting. Those are the three main sources of content. So I use the word content as an umbrella because some people are not going to excel in one area, but they may excel in another area. So for me, I was a horrible writer all my life. Not that I'm much better now, but I actually write because I enjoy it. And I know that my content, and I wasn't really sure, and I sent it out to a handful of people when I first started like writing. They're like, wow, your writing's really, really good. Because I don't write in an essay format. I write in a conversational format that's enjoyable to read. So These are all different like factors that come into play when you're actually going and making content out there. Some people are going to be terrified of video. I was terrified when I first started doing video, but it just gets easier the more and more you do it, right? I would never have been able to look directly into a camera and looking at you guys and speak about what's going on or my thoughts. But now after doing almost 300 videos on YouTube, I have no problem getting in front of a camera any day of the week and speaking or in front of a crowd now, and it's just these soft skills have just compiled over and over again, right? I have a podcast. My podcast is in the top 3% in the world. So I started off with something that I was good at, podcasting, and then I worked my way into video, and then I actually worked my way into writing, and now I'm getting better and better at all three. Am I the best? Absolutely not. But people are starting to find me. I shouldn't even say starting. Now they're finding me. They're calling me, "Hey, I want to do business with you. How can we get started?" And that is progressively moving my business along, and it's the coolest thing.
So, are is there certain topics that entrepreneurs should focus on, or is it any kind of topic? I mean, of course, it should pertain to your business. Don't just be random, but should you, like me, for example, with my tutoring business, should I, make a TikTok video and start dancing, or should I stick to more educational topics?
Sure.
I do the hot button ones, or just whatever's in my lane.
Yeah. So first, start off with what you're comfortable with. I think that jumping into something that you're not comfortable with is probably a bad idea. It's not going to be beneficial to you. Start with what you're comfortable with. So if it's maybe dancing for some people, if it's providing educational knowledge, and as you do it more and more, you're working out that muscle. You're going to get better and better. And on top of that, these apps, YouTube, Google, Facebook, Instagram, all of them, they're all going to give you the feedback that you want. A lot of people are so worried about, like, I didn't get enough likes or I didn't get this. When you do something right, they will let you know, right? It's not going to come in the shape of a phone call, but you're going to see that you posted a TikTok and now it has thousands of views, right? Or millions of views. You're going to post an Instagram video or a blog, and all of a sudden your traffic's going to go crazy, right? These algorithms are literally telling you what they want out of you. And all you have to do is, after you figure it out, and you might cover a spread of different styles and educational and funny and comical and duets and stitches, you're going to cover a ton of those, and then over time you're going to start to see, like, oh, every time I talk about this, it seems to get a lot of traffic, or every time I talk about this, it seems to get a lot more attention, right? I used to talk a lot about LinkedIn. Well, it's not the sexiest topic in the world, but now all of a sudden one of my videos is getting thousands and thousands of views per month. So am I going to go make more content about YouTube? I mean, about LinkedIn? Of course I'm going to, because the algorithm is literally telling me, hey, we want more content about LinkedIn. So I'm not going to ditch everything else. I'm just going to go focus on what the algorithm wants now. And as you build your brand, right? Doesn't matter what kind of brand it is, or and create content of what you're an expert in. If you're an expert in tutoring, if you're an expert in, I don't know, I just a paint and sip the other night. So if you're an expert in paint, right, talk all about paint and why you'd want to use maybe an acrylic over an oil paint. If you're an expert in dogs, why electric dog collars are good. I'm just looking for things on my desk here, but think about all of these things that come into play, and then from there go make content about it, and the algorithms will tell you, hey, you know what, this is a good video or this is a good piece of content versus not a good piece of content. And you're not it's so rare to get it right on the first shot. I mean, we all see the viral videos, but people don't realize, like, those are so rare. There's no, hey, if I just do all of these things, it's going to be viral. There's so much that goes into it. But even if it's not viral, you're still getting thousands of views on a video, right? I average, I don't know, like 350 views per TikTok right now, right? That's crazy to think about. I could have spent 6 hours going to speak to 8 people, or I can make a TikTok that takes me 5 minutes and reach 350 people. I mean, like, do the math, right? Why wouldn't I make 25 TikToks in that time period, then go speak to 8 people? It's just crazy. So go do whatever you feel comfortable with. Go figure out your style. I'm a much more laid back, rocking a hoodie, right? Some people, very business related, they wear a suit and tie, and that's their thing. I have my buddy Chaz. He's the best sales guy. He is very dialed in. He's so professional. He's just on it. I'm the total opposite. I'm much more laid back. I'm good, great at sales, but I'm just, I'm not going to show up to a place in a suit and tie unless it absolutely warrants it, right? I'm a, hoodies, jeans, and sneakers kind of guy. People pay me for my brain and to work on a computer all day. He's in front of sales. Salespeople like to be a little more professional, right? He's playing the part, but he creates great content. He's constantly on the ball with what he's doing. For me, a lot of people in digital marketing space look at Gary Vee. He's wearing a beanie and a hoodie all the time, right? It's just the kind of area that you're in, and just figure out the kind of content that the internet wants you to make.
Hmm. So, can you talk about the algorithm more? I know that's a hot button word, especially in maybe the past maybe 6 months. So, can you talk more about the algorithm? What is it? How does it work? All that jazz.
Yeah. So the an algorithm is just basically a math equation. I'm sure you guys have probably been through at least some level of education, right? Mx plus b equals c, or um, there's so many, E equals MC squared. There's so many math equations out there. That is literally what the algorithm is. It is just that one massive algorithm. And what happens is when you release a piece of content, written, podcast, audio or video, what happens is the algorithm looks at it, right? It doesn't actually know what that content is. It might be able to understand it, especially if it's written. It probably has a general idea of what it is, but it doesn't quite understand like how it should be shared or who should be seeing it. So what it will do is, and this is more for like social media, YouTube, TikToks, blogging is a little slightly different. What they do is they send it out to a small group of people, right? It could be 10, 15, 20, 25 people, right? And especially when you're smaller. And what happens is they watch all those 25 people and see, are people hovering over your image? Are people clicking on it? Are people watching it? How long are people watching it? How many do they rewatch it? Do they go back to certain points? Right? There are so many different areas in this algorithm that all compile into just that one word, that you have to think about, like, the algorithm is just doing its job, right? Its job is to keep people on the platform for as long as humanly possible. That's it. One job, and it's very good at it, right? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all of these are the exact same principle. Their goal is to your attention is the commodity that you're trading. So you're not spending money, you get it for free, and it for free means you're giving attention to it. So, and because you're giving attention, they can run ads, right? So their goal is to keep you engaged as long as humanly possible. What you can do with that then is, once you understand that, you have to understand how to get people to stay longer on any piece of content that you create. So if that's YouTube, how do you get them to watch the whole video, right? That's why you always see people, they're like, hey, I'm going to give you 10 tips, and 10 is going to blow your mind. There's no doubt about it. 10, you probably would have never guessed 10 is going to be number 10, right? And you're like, okay, let me watch 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 10. And then you're like 10, you're like, okay. But you watched the whole thing. So when you're writing an article, right, it's that hook in the beginning, like they gotcha. And these strategies, and there's tons of them out there, they all come into play because YouTube and these algorithms all want to have that person view your video, and then either go view a similar video, more of your videos, or anything else other than leave the platform. If they leave the platform, so if I'm your last video, if you go watch one of my YouTube videos and then you close out of your computer and go to bed, that's probably like a negative mark on my video, and not in a bad way, but YouTube's like, you know what? This video wasn't good because that person left right afterwards, right? So these are all like really strange things to think about, but ultimately your goal is to just create really, really good content so people then come back to watch it or consume it in one way or another. And then after that, keep doing it over and over again. And I said earlier, that algorithm is going to tell you, hey, we want to see more of that. So as you're doing this, you're going to start to see like, hey, some of your YouTube videos are 60% watched, right? So 60 out of all the people that watched it, 60% of them made it all the way through the end, right? This is huge information for you because then you can go and say, okay, great. What did I do in this video? What made it that successful? And from there, you can just do it over and over and over again. And it just begins a snowball effect that will just help you grow over time.
Awesome, awesome. So you, of course, you brought up social media. So can you talk more about the importance of social media in terms of business? So maybe is one better than the other? Like, is Instagram better than Facebook? Is YouTube better than, I don't know, TikTok? So can you talk about maybe the role of social media for business?
Sure. So social media is great. I think Facebook and Instagram are dying quickly. I think that, even though people are still on Facebook and still on Instagram, it is way harder to get that organic reach of reaching thousands of people on those platforms. I hate to say it, but it's so hard to grow now. Where if you took advantage of it years and years and years ago, it would be much better. I think that that's why some of these people on TikTok have had so much success. Right? They started making content. The pandemic hit. People were locked inside. They're making even more content now. People are addicted to these little devices, and they're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So if you're thinking about starting out, I honestly can't believe I'm saying this, but go to TikTok. It is so fantastic, and you'll be shocked. Like some videos just explode. There's a guy a couple hours away from me. He owns uh, a plumbing company. I think specifically like septic tanks and things like that. He has garnished millions and millions of views talking about his business and ethical business ownership and all of these other things. And he's probably acquired so much business. Another guy, this guy, Bin Blasters, I think his name is Corey, who owns it. He started creating content on TikTok and it's just exploded. All he does is clean garbage bins. It sounds so simple, but he makes it so appealing. And because of that, it's helped him boost his business. It's helped him grow to starting, I think he's mentioned before he's starting a franchise now, but he's acquired new business contacts from now. People are starting to recognize him now. So it's just kind of crazy to see. Like the only thing that he's doing differently than anybody else is he's just creating content, right? There's millions of people out there that do really interesting jobs. You might not think it's interesting because you do it every day, but it's really, really interesting. And when you can just show people what you do, how you do it, and why you do it, right? So many people are like, well, they're just going to go do it themselves and they're never going to hire me. The person that was going to do it themselves is never going to hire you anyway. So don't think of it like that. Think about it like, hey, you're providing value. And there's plenty of ways to make money from them watching you, right? You have YouTube ads, you have affiliate links, um, and the list kind of goes on and on. But just by creating content on social media, you're taking that first step in, right? Ultimately, you should have a home base, and I firmly believe that should be your website. Your website should be your home base, and the reason why I say that is because you need a place for people to come and land at. YouTube, they could take it away from you. Facebook, they could take it away from you. Instagram, they could take it away from you. They cannot take away your own personal website, right? And even if they do, let's just say you're on a platform like Wix, it's a very easy to fire up a totally new website on WordPress, on a self-hosted cloud, or however you want to do it, right? So use these platforms, social media, you know, blogs, YouTube, and bring them back to a home base. But I personally, if you're like, hey, I can't talk for 10 minutes straight or video editing's way too much for me, start with TikTok. Go leverage TikTok and start hammering through it. Maybe you're the person that's like, hey, I can do one video every once in a while. Maybe run that as a Facebook ad, post it on YouTube, right? Start getting creative, break it down into micro content. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes of videos turns into 5 or 10 little mini videos for an Instagram reel or an Instagram video. These are all things to take into consideration when you're going out there to go create content.
Hmm. So you said earlier that Facebook and Instagram are dying quickly. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So I don't see people getting the organic growth that they used to get. Even back in the day, even myself, not that I was ever famous because I just didn't really use social media myself all that much, but I ran a lot of social media accounts. And we took a very that's part, like the first service offering we had at my business. But in the beginning, we would be able to get, a couple hundred views on a video or likes on a post. And as time went on, like the quality had I don't want to say the quality, but the engagement had gone down. And all of the content, right? It wasn't like normal social media management kind of stuff where they're just like grabbing stock images and posting them up there. We were literally going on location and taking photos and videos and posting them on Instagram and Facebook. And there's just this massive decline going on, and it's becoming harder and harder. I still run a ton of Facebook pages, I still run a ton of Instagram pages, and I see it now where something that definitely would have gotten hundreds of views in the past or tons of engagement, it's just going down. What I will say though is if you have a physical product, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Maybe it's homemade paints, right? Whatever that is, if you have a physical product that you can actually show people, it's very hard with digital products. Leveraging Instagram is probably not a bad thing because if somebody could share it out and they see it, but getting discovered is very, very challenging. It is not easy anymore. Hashtags are overly used. They're extremely competitive. Even the low competition hashtags are extremely difficult. I'm starting to see more and more people build their followings on Instagram and Facebook from platforms like YouTube or TikTok or their blog. And then people want to get more involved in their life. But it used to be a fluent direction of, they would come in from Facebook or Instagram. They would go visit your maybe your YouTube or your blog, and then they would jump on your newsletter, where now it's actually the other way around. There's I think the three main drivers now, or four, is going to be YouTube, blogs, uh, TikTok, and the last one is going to be podcasting. And I think that it's a little harder to get found on podcasting, but it's very easy to get spread around. Those are now becoming the main sources of the funnel. And then people that are really interested are going and finding you on Instagram and Facebook and trying to connect with you there. I think it's done a total 180 with it. And look, there are a few and far between people that happen to succeed on Facebook, happen to succeed on Instagram, but I feel like it's far and few between from what it used to be.
Mm. So before you were talking about like thousands of views, millions of views. I think um so when you say things like that, why is the number of views so important? I guess how does the number of views equal to money? How does the number
Sure.
of views equal to sales? So like, millions of views are great, but what does it mean for the bottom line? I think that's the challenge that maybe I have, where a lot of people have. So what does it mean in terms of the bottom line?
Sure. So I think a lot of people they don't understand traffic, right? If you took a Louis Vuitton store, right, and you dropped it in Times Square, it's going to do millions of dollars in sales every year. And the reason why is because there's millions of people walking past that store. Yes, it might be a name brand. Of course, it's a name brand. But even if you put up a sunglass shop, right, and you didn't even carry name brands, but you put that shop in Times Square, that shop is going to do tons and tons of business. If you took that same store, Louis Vuitton or that sunglass shop, and you put it out in the middle of Alabama, in the middle of a cornfield, how much traffic do you think it's going to get? It's not going to get any, right? So what you need to do is you need to have traffic coming in. So leveraging blogs, YouTube, all of these media outlets, and bringing people back to that one home base is the most important thing, right? That's moving your business closer and closer to Times Square, where you're getting thousands of people there. Now, once you get people there, and I love this math equation, I'm a firm believer in one philosophy of more traffic equals more revenue, right? Or more money. The more traffic you can get to your website, directly correlates with the amount of money that you're going to make. I actually just built a calculator on this. So what you could do is think about this, right? If you get 1,000 people to visit your website every single month, right? 1,000 people every single month. It's really not that hard if you really think about it. It's what, 30 people per day, right? It's not that many people to come to your website. Now you take that 1,000 people, and your goal is to get 10% of them to give you their contact information. In this case, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be an email address, right? You want them to submit an email address, and they're going to get something for that. So this is called the lead magnet. This is more like marketing stuff, but you want to give them something in exchange for that piece of contact information because you want them to come back again. You want to be able to get in contact with these people. And what you're going to do is then start to try to get to that 10% number of whoever's visiting your website. Try to get 10% of those people to then give you an email address. In the beginning, it's not going to be 10%. It might be 0.1%, but start thinking about it. So if you get 10% of people that come to your store to give you an email address in the course of 1 month, right? You're getting 1,000, 10% of that is 100 people, right? Now, think about it this way. How many of those people that you've gotten contact information from do you need to sell to make money? For some people, it might be 1. For some people, it might be 10. The average conversion rate is between 1 and 3% on those contact emails. So that means if you get 1,000 people to your website, you get 100 of those people to give you a piece of contact information, you're going to get between 1 and 3 sales. Now, if your sales are $1,000 each, that's anywhere between $1,000 and $3,000. But this is where it gets cool. Now, if we go to month 2, you're going to get 1,000 people to visit. You're going to collect another 100 people on your email list. Now you have 200 people, right? Out of those 200 people, your goal is to get, again, 1 and 3 of them to buy. So if you can get that to happen, or 1% to 3% to buy. So now you're talking about between 2 and 6 people to buy that month. So now you've already made 1 to 3 sales in the previous month. The second month now you're looking at between 2 and 6 sales. So now that could be $2,000 to $6,000, right? Now you go to month 3, it's another 1,000 visitors. All while you could still be adding more visitors, by the way. But you're going to add more visitors, right? So maybe it's another 1,000. You're going to collect another 100 emails. Now you're at 300 people, right? Same exact principle. You have 1 to 3% of those people convert. Now you have 3 to 9 people that are going to buy. So now you go to $3,000 to $9,000, right? So now in the course of 3 months, on the high end, you made what, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I don't know, like 13-ish sales, all the way down to what, 6 sales, right? I mean, I'm probably doing the math wrong at this point because I'm doing too many numbers in my head, but it just keeps compounding and compounding. So now if you know your numbers, right, you know that you're going to get a 10% conversion rate, you have a 2%, 2% of those people buy. If you have 100,000 people visit your website, you get, right, 10,000 emails. I'm sorry, I'm doing too many numbers now. You get 10,000 emails, and then you convert 1 to 3% of those people. That's a crazy amount of sales that you're going to make. Now, are those numbers better than average? Of course they are. But even if they're bad, you're still going to have a crazy return, right? If it's 1,000 people and you only get 1% of those people to sign up, right? It's way less people. But if you do it month after month, time and time again, it builds sustainable and reliable growth for years and years and years to come. And this now gives you the opportunity to leave whatever your normal job is because you're building this. But it all starts with creating content. You need to get people there. So that's going to be YouTube, blogging, podcasting, anything like that to get people over to your website so this math equation can actually work.
Okay, so let's review, right? So if 1,000 people come to my site, the goal is to get
10%
one.
of them to convert.
Okay, 10%. So that is 100 people. So when you say convert, like things like joining an email list or signing up for something.
Yep.
So, okay. So 100 people sign up on an email list. And so from that 100, the goal is to get 1 to 3%.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay, so that's one to. I hope my math is right.
That's
So
between
that's
one and
like
three people will
one in
buy.
3 people. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, you want 10% of the website viewers to convert, and then from that number, you want 1 to 3%.
Yep. So if anybody's listening to this, I shouldn't say if anybody, people are going to be listening to this, but if you guys want an easy to go through template, I actually just made this the other night, and I'm not trying to self promote, but it really gives you like a really good breakdown of like what you need to do to go make money, right? So it's available at free.harrisonbarron.com/revenue. And it's a revenue calculator, and it'll actually go through all of the things. Like you can go in there and plug in your own numbers. So if you're getting thousands of viewers or visitors per month and you're like, well, I'm not making any money out of there, you need to start figuring some things out. But like, I can't share my screen here, but like, it's pretty crazy if you can get 100 people on your, if you start this calculator at 100 people on your first month to visit your website, right? And you sell something that's, I don't know, let's say $30, right? It's really not that much. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but if you can get something that costs $30 to have, and as I break my calculator here,
So do you want to share your screen?
I mean I can.
Yeah, you just you press the little share
Oh,
button
that's
at the
cool. I didn't even
bottom.
know you could do this on here. Screen sharing tips. I have a lot of stuff open. I don't know if this is I don't know if it's the whole screen or not, but that's cool. We're gonna dive into this.
So yeah, you press the share at the bottom, then you
Oh,
click
window,
share
perfect.
screen. Yeah.
So that way you can actually see what I'm talking about. So I built this calculator out, and all you have to do is just adjust these numbers at the bottom. But you go through and you can talk about your growth rate on your website. So this is currently built for a 10% growth rate every single month. So you start out with 100 viewers one month, next month is 110, next month is 121, 133. The percentage of your signups, so point one is 10%. Your purchase rate, this is currently set to 5%, but if we do it to 0.01%, right? And I just named it your course price, but whatever you sell, right, is $30 in the course of 2 years, right? And that's a low amount of money, but $30 is you will end up making $2,200 on your products. But if you make this, actually, we'll keep it at $30. If you have a purchase rate of 5%, right, which is really, really high, but I have seen it. If you can get 5% of those people to sign up, you went from a couple $1,000 to $11,000 in 2 years. Like that's the difference between all of this. Is you have to go through and like I said, it's a totally free spreadsheet that you can go get. But you get those signups, and if you can grow at a 20%, a 20% rate every single month, you're looking at $33,000, right? If you can get more than 10%, maybe it's 11%, it's $36,000. It's pretty crazy to see like what the numbers are. So, like I had it set up for a real estate agent just before here, and if you make it $1,000 per transaction, right? You grow at a rate of 10% each month. Your sign up rate. Sorry, I normally don't do this on a podcast, but I think it is pretty cool to see. And now that I'm diving into this, and if we have a 2% purchase rate, so you get 100 people to your website every single month if you're a real estate agent, right? You have a 10% sign up, which is pretty reasonable. You have a purchase rate of 2%, which is also pretty reasonable. And your normal commission, and I broke this one number. Your normal commission is $1,000 per transaction. At the end of 2 years, you'll make $146,000, and that is how the calculator works.
Wow, that is awesome. Awesome.
So it's cool. I just, I'm a numbers kind of person, so I enjoy it.
Sounds like you are. Okay, so um and I would imagine like there's still uh people they've been in the business maybe 20, 30, 40 years, and they say, I built my business using word of mouth. I didn't use all these computers and the interwebs and the World Wide Web and the social media, all these young kid stuff. So, what do you say to those people that say, that they built their business using word of mouth and knocking on doors, and they didn't do all this computer stuff?
Yeah, so that's a great way to build a business. I'm not gonna lie. I think if you've built a business, you have quite a bit to be proud of, and I think that that's nothing to shy away from. But there's only so much business you can do, right? Even if you are the number one pest control company on Long Island, right, and you get them, and you are the largest company, you're probably in the millions of dollars, which is cool, but people know the company, they don't know you. Where social media and these other outlets, it's all about you. You are the brand, right? So at some point down the road, I will sell my digital marketing agency, right? Growth generators, but there's still so much potential out there for everything else. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, hey, I'm starting from scratch on my next business, right? People will, in 10 years from now, I'll have a following of hopefully hundreds of thousands of people. So those hundreds of thousands of people will support me when I start a hoodie company, or I start a garbage bin cleaning company, or maybe it's a winemaking business, right? Whatever it is, they're willing to follow you, and that's the coolest part is you're building a personal brand. So having the number one company on Long Island is not a bad thing, but when you start to build these areas, there's so many other factors that come in. Your business is now 100% sustainable forever, right? Even if even if you're like, hey, you had a slow month, over the course of 5 years, you might acquire 500,000 email addresses. Out of those 500,000 email addresses, at one point or another, they all had an interest in your business. So by sending an email address, I have a friend of mine. She has. I'm not going to be too specific on it because I'm going to use real numbers. She has a YouTube channel. She has about 50,000 subscribers, and she did her course launch. Now, in 3 days, she made $100,000, and now she's making $20,000 a month after that. Here's the craziest part: she has no employees. She works a couple hours a day. Her entire business is extremely sustainable. Through an entire pandemic, she was making money. And on top of all of that, now she's making $20,000 a month. And it keeps growing every single month. So it just grows and grows and grows and grows. There's a limitless number of people that are going to be able to follow her, right? So if you look at any of these YouTube channels, you can reach people all throughout the world as opposed to just Long Island. So even if you got every single home on Long Island, right? And I'm just using Long Island because that's where I live. How many homes are on Long Island? There is 446,000 homes on Long Island. I don't know how accurate that is, but we'll go. Or that's Nassau County. So we'll go with Nassau County. So 446,000 homes on Long Island. If you were to make $100 on every single home, and you had to service all of those homes, which is never going to happen because there's not going to be that many people with pesticide issues, right? You make $100 per home. That's $44 million. It's not a little bit of money, but you got to remember too. You have employees to pay. You have insurance to pay. You have chemicals to pay for. You have all of overhead. You have all of these other things that come into play. So at the end of the day, even if you do $44 million in business at a 50% margin rate, you're going to make $22 million. Or if you have an online business, you can service anybody in the world. And if you can make, I don't know, $100 per person, you can get an unlimited amount of clients essentially. And some people will pay you more and more and more every single month.
That's good to know. That's good to
It's an
know.
interesting concept. Most people are like, that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, no, it does. Like you can work with people. I just worked with a guy in Canada. Like you can teach people anywhere. I follow a French cooking guy in Paris, right? And granted, he might not make any money from me, but if he offers a course, Mike Robler offers a teaching course for a month. I think it's $197 a person. He's got 30 million followers on YouTube. You know, even if not even if less than 1% of those people converted, he's probably making more money than this company is that actually has overhead and employee expenses and constantly has headaches, where he can sit in front of a computer and make $22 million a year.
That's amazing. So in terms of um so like YouTube, for example, once you upload your video to YouTube, should you kind of just sit back and let the algorithm work, or should you go out there and promote your video?
Both. I think, if you can, go promote, but I also think that not everybody can. I was producing a video a day for a long time, so for me, it wasn't feasible to go and post every single video. But let the you know, and that's the coolest part. Like, if you don't want to promote it, you don't have to promote it, right? As I'm looking at my analytics right now on YouTube, I've 149 people in the last 48 hours have seen me speak on a topic. They're learning how to write a new blog. They're learning how to fix their LinkedIn, why your customer reviews might not be showing up, right? Like, all of these things are happening all of the time, and I've been moving the last 10 days. So, yes, you can, I don't want to say artificially inflate them, because maybe your audience wants to learn more about it. And if once you start to build an audience, and maybe you have a couple hundred, email subscribers, yeah, you can send out an email and say, hey, like, the newest video is up. It's going to help you get through that algorithm. So definitely promote it if you can. But things come up, life comes up, you got to let the dogs out, then you go get food, go food shopping, and you get thrown off task. So it's not the end of the world if you don't promote it, but keep in the back of your mind that you can do that.
I mean, I hear you say all these numbers about your channel, but then it's like, were I mean, did you with was 60% of that people you already knew and you just tapped into that? Did those people just come on? Like, how did that work?
YouTube just recommends it. So I really didn't do much promotion of my channel at all. I mean, I put it on my Instagram and stuff like that, but I didn't really do too much promotion of my own stuff. I'm probably the worst promoter ever. I just let the algorithms do it. I have full faith in the algorithms to get me traffic over time, and they'll do all the hard work for me. I don't need to sit there. And yes, even if I was to promote it, it's like having the stars align. Out of all of my Facebook friends or Instagram friends, right, specifically my more immediate audiences, they need to be interested in seeing a video. They need 10 minutes to watch it on average. They need to want to watch something in any of those categories, right? And then last but not least, they have to have the time right then and there to, with no distractions, to actually consume my information. So for me, I'm just a pure let the YouTube algorithm take over and run with it. And same thing with blogs, and it'll come back around. And now, am I famous? No. Have I hit 1,000 subscribers yet? No. But it's crazy to me that even before 1,000 subscribers, I've gotten numerous clients strictly from YouTube, which is the coolest thing.
Ah, all right. That's good to hear. All right, so we're starting to wind down. So, do you have any final advice that you'd like to give to our viewers, to entrepreneurs, to anyone that's struggling with making content, or they're still um in the primitive ages of not of word of mouth, not that there's anything wrong with it. So any advice that you want to give at all on this topic?
Yeah, just go start. Just go do it. Pick up a computer, pick up your little camera. Your little phone has a great little camera on it, and go start making something. You don't have to be a pro. You're not going to be a pro in the beginning, but go start making something, and it'll all come back around. You just have to go and do. I hate to say do it, because Nike owns that word, but like, you have to start. You can't just be like, there's people that make things happen, and then people wonder what happened. Go be somebody that makes things happen, and you're gonna suck in the beginning. it gets easier. Trust me.
Okay. Ah, all right. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to put up your contact information right here. So, you guys, you can find Harrison Barron online at his business website. He has a few websites. So he has a business website, growth-generators.com, and he has a personal website, harrisonbarron.com. All of that contact information is scrolling below. And he also has his own podcast, which he spoke about in the beginning, brutally honest podcast.com. And if you'd like to follow him on social media, he's on Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So definitely give him a follow and definitely give him all of your support. So, Harrison, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, I am going to put you backstage, and it is just you and me, guys. So, oh, wait, let me put up my own banner as I say this. Okay, so we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our YouTube channel for more videos and clips. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you thought about our episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below. And if you would like to learn more about A Step Ahead tutoring services, specifically if you want to know about our workshops, our services, or just who we are as a whole, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Eventbrite, and WhatsApp. So we are on a lot of social media platforms. And you can go to our website, www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com, to get more information. And one last thing before I go, we are also seeking financial contributions to our crowdfunding campaign on ifundwomen.com. iFundWomen is the go-to funding marketplace for women-owned businesses and the people who want to support them with access to capital, coaching, and connections. So I am going to play you a small video that will explain more.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider donating to our crowdfunding campaign. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. We're a for-profit company. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
And that is it. Thank you so much for joining us. Please tune in next time to the next episode. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for joining us. Signing off.